Good afternoon, my BCAP babies. I am so excited to be back here with you all today. Yes, I know you had a wonderful Monday, and I know that Miss Hardy put some valuable information out there for you all. So don't even try to act like you can't get on our Google Classroom because I know you can. We have like 25 plus who's already enrolled down there. So I need you to go in and accept your invite. Parents, please tell your children to go in and accept our Google Classroom invite. I'm also putting information online for you as well. But today is Tuesday. And on Tuesday, we usually do our arts and crafts. We usually do our homework help. We usually read stories. We make slime and all kind of little stuff. Those are Tuesdays and Thursdays are our loose days. Okay, and we usually do the garden. And around about now, I'm sure our garden is like overgrown, so I know my babies are missing that. But we will come back to it. All right, so with this platform that we're using with our BCAP virtual learning, I'm going to read my babies a short story today. And I'm also going to ask you all to respond to the stories. Okay. So that's how I'm going to make sure that I'm keeping up with you all. Okay. And you're keeping up with me. I want you to like this. I want you to leave us a message, especially all my good BCAP babies. You know how to write because we went over all that stuff with you all after school. Okay, so if we can do some one-on-one help with you all, you know how to get in that Google Classroom. You know how we can do Google Meet. You know that we can get on there. We can do all types of exciting things. Okay, so here we go. The title of these short stories I found online are actually short stories written by superstars and scholars as yourselves. So guess what? This story was written by Rims. Okay, and it's a very short story. Short stories are awesome in so many ways. So I want to make sure that you all are doing and reading accordingly. And don't forget those ebooks, okay? Don't make me email you ebooks again, because I will. I'll do that. You need to be reading. I don't care if we start back school next week, next summer, next fall, next winter. I need you reading something every day. And you know that's one of the topics on our Google Classroom. You have to respond and tell me, what have you read today? Did you read something? Did you read some bills? Did you read a magazine? Did you do some journal writing? What did you read today? Okay? I need you to be reading on every day that we're out. And even on the weekend. It wouldn't hurt. Anyway, the title of the story is Don't Cry. Don't cry. Their glares pierced Draco's soul, and their cheers deafened his heated ears. Suddenly, a tight fist punched the remaining strength out of his body as he landed on the floor harshly, tears foaming on the edge of his eyes, ignoring the roars of his inner voice. Don't cry. Don't cry. Knuckles turned white as his fists tightened, his inaudible whispers that kept fading in the booming cheers of the crowd slowly loudened up as the room silenced down. They left. His sweaty fist unclenched, but he immediately palmed his lips, muffled his painful screams, eyes rolled toward the shadows covering the doorway, his shoulder heaved as he painted, eyes silently watched them disappear. The palm got ripped apart from lips as he let out screams of fury and frustration. His heated tears evaporated in the still of air. He kept screaming and thrusting around in pain. Suddenly, something buzzed. A bright light reflected in his bloodshot eyes. His scream stopped. Zooming in, he noticed his dad's text. We need to talk. Come home fast. Eyes flung open. He gasped and immediately crawled toward his books, shoved them into his bag, and was about to stand when, without any warning, a sharp stabbing pain diverged from his stomach. His body landed on the floor again. Nothing new. A low hiss buzzed in the silence as he could finally balance his legs and dashed out from there. With each step, the pounding of his heart sped brutally. Thoughts scattering in his head, each coming with a different reason for this sudden text. What was he doing at home at this hour? Why would he text all of a sudden? His steps halted down when he was there, standing on the doorstep with rageful breaths and an anxious head. The door opened with a creak. Legs trembled as he suddenly got wrapped in a veil of silence. He crept in and noticed his father sitting on the couch in office attire, silently reading something. Eyes shift to the thing in his man's grip, and within seconds, shiver crawled down his spine. Each flesh of his body started radiating heat as he staggered to his feet. His diary was in his father's grip. He was reading it. He was reading each of Draco's unspoken feelings that got buried deep in that thing. He was reading it all. Wasting not even a second, Draco strode toward the man and snatched the diary from his grasp, avoiding a sharp pair of eyes staring intently at him. How could you touch my personal stuff without my permission? His voice shook, seeing a form of something in his father's eyebrows. Feeling threatened to meet the strong gaze of the man, he stumped toward his room and slammed the door shut. Warm tears strolling down his eyes, but he wiped off each drop. His father's words kept whirring in his head. Boys should always stay strong, son. They should never know, should never show their weakness to the world. He could remember how his father used to hide his struggles from his family and would always show him his cheerful face. And for Draco, it was an act of bravery. Hours passed in silence. Suddenly, knock, knock, knock. His heart trenched. Eyes shot up and looked at the door blankly. He could not decide whether to open it or not. Then again, knock, knock. Gasping dryly, he faltered toward the door, and a low creak echoed. But there was no one. He peeped out, only to realize his father was in the kitchen. His eyes fell on a book abandoned on the floor, another diary. Ignoring the sharp, stabbing pain, he picked it and walked toward his desk. His eyes shot up. The writer was quite familiar. It was his father's. Each page unfolded a new hidden secret of his father, which Draco had no idea about. Scrolling through his word, flipping through his page, his eyes blurred. He raised his fingers to wipe the warm drops when suddenly, don't wipe it. His blurry gaze shifted to the man who was leaning against the doorknob. He started walking toward the boy, finding him fiddled with his fingers. He lowered himself to the boy's level and looked at him with soft, gentle eyes. Suddenly, the boy's head clouded with broken visions. He remembered the 10-year-old shedding tears, fingers circling his bruised knee. His father lowered himself to the boy's level and looked at him softly. Shh, son, don't cry. But it hurts, the 10-year-old hissed in pain. Brave kids don't cry. Draco, he jerked back to reality. His heart clenched under the intense stares of the man. There is something you want to tell me, isn't it? His voice sounded as calm as the night wind. The boy nodded slightly, silenced. The man shifted his gaze from him and sighed. Tell me when you feel like it, okay? He caressed his son's hair and turned toward the door. The boy looked down, thoughts running wild in his head. And son, he immediately looked up. Brave kids do cry. His eyes widened. Thoughts tamed down. He stared at his dad and watched his lips carve in a cheerful smile. The man earned the same expression from his son, a saturated one. The end. Now, I know you can tell me something about that story. Draco was having some issues. His dad didn't know all of his issues, but they came together. And the dad left his diary out for his son to see that we all have gone through the same things. We all have some trials, some tribulations. And during this time when we can't talk to anyone, maybe we can pick up a journal. I've been journaling. You can pick up a notebook. You don't have to have a pretty little book and all that. But you can pick up something and you can journal and you can start writing some of your thoughts and some of your feelings down. Because, of course, as Dr. Heron says, you are our scholars. And we want to make sure that you're getting everything that you need. And even during this after-school program, even though it's virtual, I know that you all send me text messages. I want you to send me video messages, too. I want to see you. I wanted you to talk about some of your feelings, some of the things that you're doing. It can be one-on-one. If you need your codes for Prodigy Math, you need to inbox me or call me. Have your parents leave me a message on Facebook, or they do have my number. Just make sure that you're brave kids, and we want to make sure that you stay that way. And even if you cry, I cry. I've cried sometimes. I cried day before yesterday. Yeah. And it's okay to cry, because that doesn't mean that we're less than who we are. We're still brave individuals. But I want you to continue to know that I love you with the love of the Lord. Miss Hardy loves you. And we're in this together. We're in this together. And we will overcome. So we will begin short videos, short stories. And I want you to tell me, and I want you to reflect on this story, how you feel. Leave me a message. I need you to send something to let me know that you read the story, or that you listened to me read the short story anyway. All right, and remember that this is the day the Lord has made, and we're going to continue to rejoice in it. I don't care what the system say. I love the Lord. Y'all all know I love the Lord. So we're going to make sure that we do this, because we will overcome this. And remember, put your thoughts down so you can reflect on them years later. Put them down. Write down how you feel. All right? All right, you all have a good evening. I love you. BCAP babies forever. Bye now.